Live. Hello! Jenna's mic is not working today. We're having some audio troubles. Whenever I turn the music on, we can't hear Jenna. Whenever I turn the music off, we can only hear Jenna. Shh, Michaela, you're not supposed to break the joke. Just kidding. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Galestrian's Greatest Tales of the Witch Boy. My name is Em. I am the GM, Game Master, and I play the 11-year-old witch boy named Remy. Let's go to Jenna.
Hi, I'm Jenna. I play Li Shijia, the Fate Witch, and whoa,
Oh boy.
Emma's camera is haunted. Okay.
Why does my computer hate me?
This looks
All right.
like a movie in which somebody
Really
just
cool
took
on
drugs.
screen.
Like,
All right, I'm gonna stop my video for a
Like,
second,
if
but
you want to switch to do a Shadowrun stream real quick,
This is it.
Perfect.
Sorry, okay, I'll stop. Jenna, go ahead and continue.
My pronouns are she, her, and my camera is not haunted. Next up is Michael, I guess.
Hi, I'm Michael. Mike. He, him. I play the human summoner, Shaija Kontur, and her phantom, or her devout phantom, Hem. Michaela.
ooh, this is like popcorn reading. Hello, I am Michaela, she, her, and I play Sogafa, also she, her, and I am a halfling Dhampir sorceress who hopes to go on a very successful hunting trip today. On to Don.
Hi, I'm Don. Pronouns he, him. I am playing Craig Fogcrusher. Pronouns also he, him, the swashbuckler kobold, who is very excited to ply his trade at being a deckhand with this strange village we've found ourselves.
Amazing, thank you. So I figured out what the issue was. It wasn't plugged into the right outlet or the right
Was it the
USB
cat?
port.
Okay.
It was not the cat, actually. But welcome to our stream. Last time, what happened? Do you want to give us a recap, Michaela? I think you're kind of becoming our unofficial recap person. If you want to be the recap person, you don't have to. Be
I
the
love
recap
a good
person.
recap.
Okay, cool.
Would you like me to do it in Michaela voice or in Sogafa's voice?
Ooh, I feel like we want Sagapa's voice, if that's okay.
That is perfectly acceptable. All right, so we arrived in a very small fishing village across the large body of water from Ekalofia, and it did take us quite a stressful journey to finish getting down the mountain because Li Xijia was quite affected by the larva crawling under her skin, as anyone would be. So we managed to heal up Li Shijia with a very successful find of Hannah's and Shaija's incredible healing efforts. After that, we made it to town. Krieg enjoyed his first splash into the water in long enough for him, I'm sure. And we met some of the townspeople. One group of townspeople found out by Li Shijia and Hannah was Chloe and her husband Mark. They own a boat. However, that boat is in need of quite a few repairs, which has left them essentially stranded in this fishing village. We also met a delightful gentleman from, excuse me if I pronounce this wrong, Dramo Ile, who was basically on vacation just to have a little fun fishing and also had the greatest hat Sogafa has ever seen. So after some talking, we determined that Chloe and Mark were probably our best bet as far as catching a ride to a Calafia in exchange for doing some repairs and hopefully fishing and otherwise finding some wares for them on the way. But before we decided on that, we met the delightful old witch who was totally all there, very sane, very normal. Her name was Gladys. She told us about her former coven in Luaka Toll, and did mention that she's not on the best terms with those folks. But she certainly livened up our day just a little bit before we decided to make the deal with Chloe and Mark. And that's where we ended our session last time.
Thank you so much. I loved that. So we are in an unnamed random fishing village that's only a seasonal location for people to spend time in. And it's really just there during the fishing season, which is really just the summer, or at least that's the largest, best time of the year to fish. And or the best time, I guess. And you have, I believe, as you said, you agreed to help out Chloe and Mark and I think they have a young, I think it was a young daughter around age 7, I want to say, is what I said. And the three of them have fallen on some more difficult times they hinted at. And you are now in this village, and I think you all went to like the common meeting area, like it's like a patio outdoors, kind of in the center of all of these huts. Yeah. Oh, I should mention, Gwen is out tonight. Gwen is taking a break. But she will be back when she's back, probably next week. Yeah, just wanted to kind of put that out there as well, so it wasn't like, oh my gosh, where did Gwen go? And then we're just glossed over that.
It falls to some of us to pick up the flirting that is going to be left
This is true.
slack.
We
I
all
think
have
that-
to split it evenly between the 5 of us.
We should put as much into Krieg as possible, though, because I think
Yeah.
that will just make for the best show.
Why?
Yeah, let's put it into Craig. That'd be fun. Just Craig is flirting, but the only thing he's around is the boat.
I'll play it as I see it.
Walks up to the boat, leans on the boat. Hey.
Google nautical pickup lines. Got it.
Yes.
Whatever
Okay.
floats your boat.
That's it for session tonight. Y'all have a wonderful night.
Everybody!
No, but you are here in this village. It is, I think we titled the episode Village on the Fringe, which I was very happy about. I don't know, I think it just kind of has a fun little feel to it, because this village does feel like it's really like some people are on the fringe of society and like maybe a little bit on their own fringe. And it's kind of a weird little vibe. So what are you doing at this point in time? Oh, it's also Glimmer, the first of Glimmer, around, I believe it's around 5:30 p.m.
Okay, thank you. That's what I wanted to know.
Yeah.
Is it dark right now?
It is approaching, the sun is starting to set, which is actually quite beautiful, over the water, and the reeds that stick up through the marshy edge of this lake. It's very pretty. The jungle around you is starting to glisten in this orange light from the sun as it sets over the lake. And you also see, because the portion of the lake that you're on, and I you can kind of zoom in on this if you want, but just where it says Ecolophia, just under that, the little blue portion, you're kind of in this little like finger of the lake, like an outstretched portion of the lake that's its own little, not quite cove, but it's its own separate portion of this lake. And so as the sun sets, like the light is reflecting all throughout this all throughout the water, but of course the water that's in the trees have an orange glint to them here and there, like as light reflects off of that. Everything sparkles as the sun is setting. It's pretty. Yeah, what are we doing?
Great.
Yeah, Craig was promised some boat work, so after his swim and he got out and got all dressed back up and got on the same page as everyone, because last session Craig wasn't present for the planning and execution of the plan. So, but when told that there's an issue with this lake and with this village with a lack of fish, and Craig volunteered to do everything within his power to figure this out. So I think what Craig's going to do is look around for the best looking ship, the most lake-worthy ship in the area.
Yeah, well, so the family actually does own their own fishing boat, and that fishing boat is in slight disrepair, and they've asked you all to take a look at it. Would you like to do that at this point?
Absolutely. Yep.
Who? Oh, go ahead.
Even more appealing to Craig than a very big and fancy boat is a boat that needs some work. So he is he shuffles over to that area, just a glint in his eye.
Very cool. I'm gonna move all of us over to this scene, whether or not you are actually going to the boat, just so everybody can see. But can I hear from each of you, are you all planning to go to the boat? And where do we think Hannah would be going? Would Hannah be going to the boat as well?
I think Hannah would definitely want to see Chloe again.
Oh boy.
Ooh,
Yep.
good call.
We can ask Hannah to see if she can find us a place to stay for the night, likely with Chloe.
Oh.
So you arrive at the boat, which is,
Can't see anything.
oh goodness,
Have tokens down.
I have not moved your tokens on the board. I should do that.
Yeah, and this boat is dark as hell.
So is the plan to help them out and get the boat and take the boat all the way up to the Whispering Marshes, or are we just trying to get to the other side and walking the rest of the way?
After talking to that gentleman from Dramo LA, I think it's a lot to ask for folks to take us into the Whispering Marshes. I think there's a lot of what one could call superstition surrounding that particular area. I mean, we can always ask.
Could you expand upon these superstitions you mentioned? Who was this person you spoke to?
Well, he was a lovely gentleman. His name was Jedediah.
Jedediah, I see.
Yes, he had a great hat. Oh my gosh, you should have seen it. You could have put so many flowers on that brim. But he said that it was kind of haunted, and that a lot of folks don't like going in there. And they only go in there when they're desperate for fish.
Interesting. Did he mention the nature of these hauntings? Were they corporeal, incorporeal?
You know, I gotta say, I didn't think to ask, because the dead and the alive to me are kind of one and the same. So I didn't even consider asking. I'm sorry.
That is
My,
alright.
this boat, I thought it was going to be a boat. This looks much larger than I expected.
Now, as you arrive, it is a large boat. Probably much larger than you would expect from a modest fishing family. And it has two masts, one in the very center of the boat. Also, can you all see the map now? Okay. has two masts that are, one is in the bow, one is in the center of the boat. And, I mean, Chloe and... Really quick, Chloe and Mark, like, could have talked their boat up a bit more. It is obviously in disrepair. Looking at the boat, trying to see if it's functional, like it could go either way. I mean, it's currently floating, but the mast looks like it's rotting in places. The wood throughout the boat seems like it's been patched here and there. People haven't been taking care of it. Jenna, what did you want to do as Lishuja?
This is a real quick. When we met Mark and Chloe, did they look well-to-do or did they look?
Not at all. They look very modest. And you can give me a culture check if you'd like.
I'll do that. I also wanted to do if I could do a society check on how much a boat like this would run price-wise.
Sure, yeah. Or society, that's right, not culture.
Let's see. Society. Oh. That is a 14 total.
Okay. You would think that a boat of this size would probably cost, and I don't know if I have a specific number for you in terms of gold. I don't think that I can pull that out of somewhere with, like, looking at... It's going to take me too long to, like, look at all of the different resources to try and figure out what exactly that cost would be. However, having looked at Mark, Chloe, and their daughter, having spent a little bit of time with them, having talked to them, heard a bit of their story, Mike was exactly right. You wouldn't expect a small family like that to have a boat even this large. I mean, it doesn't matter that it's in disrepair. It's a little bit shocking, or at least seems a little bit out of place. And you don't know, if maybe they just simply dress modestly and they live modest lives, and that could very well be. But it doesn't match, at least in a stereotypical sense. If that makes sense.
Yes. A bit of a large boat for such a small family, don't you think?
And Mark steps up. Oh, yes. I
didn't know he was here. Oh God, I thought it was just us.
This was my grandfather's, and he ran a large. You can tell he's very nervous. He ran a large business. The business failed after some time, and he stopped taking care of the boat, and then it was just in the family. Nobody could purchase the boat, or nobody would purchase the boat, so it was just passed down to my father, and from my father to me. It's part of the family now, but
Are you all right? You seem tired.
Oh, I suppose I'm just stressed from not being able to catch anything out on the lake. This is the only livelihood I have right now, and it hasn't been fruitful as of late.
Of course, that's completely understandable. Would you tell us a little more about your grandfather, his trade, perhaps? Did he have a crew of some sort? Did this boat originally have a name, sigils?
Oh.
Symbols?
It had a name. Well, you can see the name. It still has the name. Please excuse me. I'm always somewhat embarrassed to share the name. We call it the Acatalatvia.
I see.
So
That's so funny. Oh my gosh. You're a hoot.
Thank you. I'm glad you appreciate the pun. My grandfather was not the serious type, and well, he actually ran quite a successful business for quite some time, and Acatalatvia was his flagship. He had a crew. He had a crew that worked with him throughout the summers, and a smaller crew that worked with him throughout the rest of the season, but just ever since, well, we don't really know when, but he said that he thought the numbers of fish in the lake might start dying down. He just felt that he was catching less and less every year until he just stopped being as successful as he was, and then some outsiders came in from a different part of the world and started their own shop, and it outcompeted my grandfather's business. But here we are. This is Catch-a-Lot. That's what I call her, and she's got personality, but she isn't much to look at.
All right. So I don't know anything about boats. Where do we begin with this lovely old lady?
Anybody can give me a crafting check.
Oh yes, I'm so good at craft.
I use lore sailing.
Yeah.
I cast Nudge Fate on myself.
Okay. Oh! That's funny.
Oh, unfortunate. Oh well.
Oh.
Like 17, 16, 17 for me.
Okay. As Mark is explaining the boat, I think that Lishigia and Sagafa, probably the two who we wouldn't expect to notice issues on a boat, see a few things that are off at first glance. First off, there is some pretty obvious patching that doesn't seem like it really is working very well. The hull of the boat is sitting in the water, right? And it has at the water line, there are a couple patch jobs that slightly go into the water line, so there's a bit of water, and you notice the boat is leaning just a bit. Clearly, it's okay, it's up, like it's still floating, but you think that it would slow the boat down, if anything. And also, you notice that some of the lines in the bow that hold the fishing nets are not. Don's putting some things in the chat that are funny. Sorry. No, you're good. Some of the lines in the front of the boat where the fishing nets are not in good shape. You think that, I mean, part of the reason they're not catching a lot is because these nets just don't work super well. So those are the two blaring things that stand out to you. And Mark would also explain, he doesn't explain anything about the hull of the boat, but he does explain that I just think there's something wrong with the fishing lines. And
Real
the
quick.
nets. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Real quick, can I say I used my 16, 17 to cast was like floating disc, I believe.
Okay.
I might be misremembering, and I used that to pick up Craig and move him around to the places he needs to go.
Cool. I
Do
like it.
small.
Sounds good.
Cute.
Or like you can direct me, Craig. You know a boat.
Yep. I'll do a. Yep. Looking
Craig.
at the boat. Oh, go ahead.
Give me another lore sailing or another crafting check now that you're being carried around the boat.
Okay, for sailing it is. That's better. 19.
Nice. You notice quite a few extra materials in the boat that seem they haven't been used. You could probably use them to repair parts of the ship that need repair, and you could probably craft new nets. And you think that you probably just want to start over with these nets and just make new nets.
Picking them up.
Yeah.
Yeah, picking them up, feeling how tight they are, how there's no give, and I'll hold them up and I'll stretch them and I'll show like, well, here's part of your problem right here. As soon as you catch a fish, they give a little bit of pull and they'll zip right through. And he does like a show. He just rips them like a paper bag. I'm gonna start over. I'll hook you up. I'll show you what we use over on the Sleesfit Isles.
Cool. Mark is impressed. Oh, that would be wonderful. Thank you. I really don't know much about keeping a boat in shape. I mean,
Did
so,
your grandfather
thank
not
you.
teach you anything? Did you not have a good relationship with him?
Oh,
It seems unusual that a fisherman would not know how to take care of his own boat.
Yes, you pass on the skill. So I'm just curious if he died before he could pass on these lessons. If you were reluctant
well,
to.
I guess that I just never had much interest in it. If that makes sense. I appreciate the boat and think she's beautiful, and I really think she's a special part of the family, but I can't say I've ever been terribly interested in fishing.
Well, there's
well-
a saying where I come from. If you put the wind in her sails, she'll raise your mast every day.
Oh my god.
This site I'm on is horrific. Nautical pickup lines. I'm censoring and paraphrasing.
Just want to
What
say
is
that
that?
again. If you put the wind in her
You
sails.
put the wind in her sails, she'll raise your mast every day.
Oh, that took
Can
me
I-
a hot second.
Can I tweet that out and then tag Hector?
Oh God!
Please, I got plenty. Yeah.
I love the idea that this is just what your people say.
Do you think he knows what that means?
I'm not quite sure I know what that means. I hope it doesn't mean what I think it means.
Is this a what's? Just not gonna say that one.
Mark, when was the last time that the ship was set sail?
I mean, we take the ship down here from Ekalafia once every summer, but it's become a slower trip every year. Takes longer and longer to get down here, so this year we've really been frustrated. We think that it might be the last season we can do this if we can't get the boat in repair.
Well, you've got to keep trying. You know, Drosdia says you've just got to keep trying. It's all about perseverance, and with enough hard work, you can make it happen. So we're here to help.
Chloe looks at you and says, "Oh, do you worship Drosdia?"
Oh yes, of course. I like the whole concept that she brings forth. That you know, if you just got to keep going.
And she grabs a necklace and pulls it kind of out from under her like tunic. I don't know if that's quite the right, like her top, and she pulls it out of. She like, opens up a locket, and inside the locket, she takes a small little symbol that like snaps out of the locket, and holds it up to you and says, "Drosdia's holy symbol. I am a follower as well." And then she snaps it back in and then kind of puts it away.
Oh, that's beautiful. Oh my gosh, no wonder you all are still here with this old gal. You're clearly a person of perseverance yourself.
And that's what I tell Mark every season. He's become frustrated with the boat, but we should try, shouldn't we?
Yes.
I,
Yes, we should.
out of curiosity, how many people crew this? Is it just you and Mark?
Well, it's that is currently the case. Yes, it's a slow going, but we make it work. Thankfully, Akalofia isn't terribly far, and the weather is more or less uh, easygoing.
Hmm. Well, Craig, could you, I've made a few nets for traps, but I'm not quite sure about the water dynamics. So if you'll show me how to put these together, I'm sure I could whip up some good nets for you, and you can focus on other things, like perhaps those worn down patch jobs down there at the water line.
Yes, of course. Yeah, it's same basic principle as a standard hunting snare, but with water-based fare. You need to close the gap, so to speak. If a fox head can fit through it, it's too big. And these fish, I don't really know what kind of fish they deal with here. Mark, could you give me an example of what one of these? Like, what kind of fish are we talking about here? Are we talking about, and he starts holding up his hand at various, so like, are we dealing with trout? Are we dealing with salmon? Are we dealing with...
He takes his hands and goes, about this long.
Okay, yep.
I'm
so-
not. Oh, sorry. I'm not saying anything, but Nishi's just not impressed. Like, whatever the fuck this guy is up with. Damn, no wonder their business is failing. This guy's had shit. No fucking wonder.
Yeah.
So,
So
Alicia,
go ahead.
are you experienced at all? You're clearly a very classy lady, so I don't know. I hear that folks of the upper classes are familiar with needlepoint. I don't know about your skill set, but maybe the sails need a little work too.
Give me a flat d20 check.
I
I want anybody.
Okay. What?
This is a luck check.
Oh. I don't know where the d20 is.
God.
Someone else do it.
A likely story. I'm just kidding. Okay, Brig, as you're sorting through all of these things on the boat, all the different things at your disposal that you could use to try and make this ship at least a smidge of what it used to be, you pull out the sails. And as you're pulling them out, I mean, you grab one piece and you start pulling it out of the sail bag, and it just tears. You reach into the sail locker again for another sail for the second one, and you start pulling it out, and parts of the foot of the sail and of the luff of the sail, which are the corners that attached, or the sides that attach to the mast and the boom. I mean, they are like almost falling into powder when you grab them. They're so they're so old, and they haven't been washed properly. Like, yeah.
A little frustrated, he takes them out and just starts shredding them. Not like he doesn't want to make Mark feel any worse about his lack of ability, as he already does, but he just starts shredding it, just like all just trash. trash, and he looks like, my captain always said, all you need is luff. And this is terrible luff.
Luff is all you need.
Your captain had so many sayings.
I think we're gonna hear all of them tonight.
There's
Incredible.
a lot.
Um, so, yeah, actually, place yourselves on the boat wherever you might be. Krieg, the nets are up in the front. Lucidia, where would you? Okay, so let me see. Nets are in the front. Sails could be either in the bow or in the center of the boat. The aft is going to be probably where Mark and Chloe and their daughter are hanging out at the moment. And yeah. I think Remy will be up with, I think probably Sagafa. Actually, I think maybe Shaija. And then where do we
We've been
think?
bonding.
Yeah, where would Hannah go? What do we all think?
Where's Chloe?
Where's Chloe?
Oh, good call.
On the shore.
And everybody give me a crafting check or an appropriate skill check that might work to help repair the boat.
Can
What do
I
you think?
message? Craig, you hear my voice in your head, and it says, "So, what do you believe the damages are? How long would this take? How expensive would it be?"
He doesn't break his stride, just ripping and tearing out. Assuming they have the right tarpaulin and the right paraffin wax, it could take me the rest of today to get new tarps set up. Those little street urchins you were all hanging out with, if we could put them to work applying this paraffin wax, I think by tomorrow we could set sail with just the sails. I haven't even looked at the outer hull. I'm going to do that next. But at least an overnight job.
Do you hear another message? Do you expect this level of disrepair on this sort of ship with a single generation such as this, or is there any other underlying things you imagine?
I'd like to take a look around the harbor dock area and look at other vessels. If everyone looks as in as much disrepair as this one,
That is
we could have just gotten unlucky and got the most inept one in town. Maybe other people have better luck.
sure. Shaija, what's on your mind?
Are there any other ship okay, so maybe I'm just taking out of game knowledge. This is a pretty big ship.
Yeah.
This could fit
Mhm.
20 to 50 crew members depending on how much room is underneath.
Now,
This is a huge ship.
it is a large ship. However, I do think probably max number of crew that this would hold, or that this would, just because there's no if you were to take a look below, go down into the hold, there's 15 beds at most. And so yeah, there's room for a lot of people, but I'd say max 20 people for this. You could squeeze up to 40 or so. This is a very large ship for this
Yeah.
area.
And I was kind of thinking each of these hexes we've traveled took a day to traverse. So looking at the size of the lake in relation to that, this boat is big for us. It's big for this village, but they said they only summer over here, so the rest of the lake would be good for about this size, I imagine.
Yeah. Now, actually, these are very good question. A lot of this is playing into this whole weirdness of this situation. Yeah.
Sure.
Give me perception. Give me nature, even society check. There are things that don't add up in this situation.
14
Yeah,
society.
So, sorry, my follow-on question to what I was asking was, if there are ships, I imagine that most of them are probably 3 to 5 person boats if they're in a small fishing village. Again, probably out of game knowledge. So are there other boats this big, or are there
So-
other boats at all?
There are no other boats this large. There are 3 other boats in this village. Those 3 other boats are, one of them's around 35 feet long. It's strictly a
We can-
sailboat. Go
We
ahead.
could put that boat on this boat.
Right. It's a this is a schooner. I think this is probably around 60 to 80 feet. How long is this? Let's see. More than-
130.
well more than
130.
that. Okay. So the 35-foot boat is dwarfed in size to this. And that would hold maybe 5 people comfortably. You have another boat that looks to be around 40 to 50 feet long. Another 5 to 7 people, maybe, comfortably. And that one is purely a fishing boat. So it's the kind where you have the hold below deck and you've got people on the oars. And you've got like 2 people on each side and they take shifts throughout the day to row. And then the other 2 are up top and they're throwing nets over and pulling those nets up. Then you have a small boat, which is probably around 25, 30 feet, like 20, 25 feet. And that smaller boat is, looks to be a very, like, weirdly shaped fishing boat. It's very square. It's not the type you take across long distances. And it's probably very good for, like, gonna go sit out on the lake all day long, throw a net over, wait, pull the net back up. So those are your 4 boats that you have here in this area. Yeah. What were those rolls? Let's see. Did that answer your question, by the way, Mike?
Yeah, no, I'm also like imagining this because when you describe the village, I'm thinking really tiny. So when we see this big boat, I'm like, this seems a little bit off.
Mhm.
And then you have a few smaller boats. Those ones make sense.
Yeah. So let's see. Do-do-do. Society check from Lishigia, 14. Nature from Shaija, 18. Sagafa, 24. Perception. And Krig, 7 for Society. Krig, I would say you're probably pretty focused on repair.
Exactly. Yep.
If that works for you. Shaija and Lishijia.
Mm.
Well, actually, let's do Lishijia's first. Society-wise, you're looking around, you're looking at this boat, you're thinking about why might they have this boat? Like, this is bizarre. And you're thinking, okay, maybe it belonged to an organization that sold it, and like, you don't know, like maybe they have connections with people. There really isn't anything to explain why this boat would be there with that family. Even with the story, how's it going, Supernova? Even with the story of what Mark described, there's a missing piece. And you think that this boat had a greater purpose at one point. That this boat
Interesting.
was probably a part of a fleet of some type.
I have seen warships.
I don't know if you would pick it out immediately as a warship, but I think you would say this ship doesn't belong on its own.
Right.
Sagafa, you are pulling back some of the boards in the water, because I think you had mentioned that you're trying to repair the outside of the boat, right?
I was working on nets and definitely eyeing those
Okay.
as something that needs to be taken care of.
And I think Krieg was going to talk you through how to do that as well.
I pretty much set her up. Just said like it requires just a finer mesh than a standard land. So I gave as much intel as Sagafa needed, so she was pretty well set.
Perfect. As you're looking around the hull, I think maybe at one point you pull back a board because you want to try and investigate and see how you can patch it up better. This is like straight up covering a cannonball hole. So the board you pull back is like a patch job over something that would be a war or a battle scar on the ship. So, yeah. What are you doing?
That's a large hole. I don't think I'm gonna draw attention to it, and not for the whole party, but if Krieg is the closest to me, I think I'm going to interrupt his angry sail swiping and say, Krieg, excuse me, what does a cannonball hole look like?
Well, it's about, holds up his hand, about as wide as my palm. Depending on what they're hitting, either leaves a dent, perfect hole, or it can shatter something. Why? You haven't found anything, have you?
Oh, I'm experienced in these things. Would you come over here and give me some insight into this patch, Jack?
Oh, of
Over
course,
here?
yeah. This thing's all a mess. I'm gonna need to start all over with this. Sure. And he'll clamber over and look at the hole.
It's right here. Yeah.
Okay. Should I
That
give
kind of fits
another-
your description, doesn't it?
Yep, that'll do it.
So I'm not sure this has always been a fishing boat.
Yeah, maybe. Can I roll like a society check for like what? Specifically around like naval stuff. Is there piratey stuff? Maybe I don't know. Just kind of like
Yeah.
Or is history a thing?
Sailing.
Don't you have lore sailing?
I have more sailing. Yeah.
Sailing
yeah.
lore,
It's basically
society.
the same, bonus, but yeah.
Any of
Are-
those would do.
Are Mark and Chloe still around?
Mm-hmm. They're still around.
I got a 16 on lore sailing.
Okay,
If I can zero in.
I'll get back to that. I want to go to Sagafa really quick. Sagafa's looking at this boat, and her mind is just like, how the hell did they get this down here? They sailed this like, they said they come down every season in a 100 and something foot boat with no crew and just them?
I mean, how
No
can
way.
you even do that?
No way. Like, there's no way. That story makes zero sense. And as you start to think about this, you start looking at the way that the wind is moving on the water, the way that the water is moving, the way that the currents seem to be going. You start looking around at the trees that kind of hug the lake, and you notice that the wind is very favorable coming from Ekalofia, but not going back. And if you know anything about sailing, there's a point of sailing called a run. And a run is just a straight shot down, completely downwind. All you do is you put your sail out all the way and you let the boat go. And
Almost like going straight into this not really a cove.
exactly. So you can make it essentially a straight line from Ekalofia down to this cove. But looking at the wind, Sagafa, or I'm sorry, Shaija. I totally meant to say Shaija for all of this because you had your nature check. But Shaija, as you're looking at all of this, there's no way they could have done this except if they were going straight down from Ikalofia and they did not go back up. You can't sail that boat with this few crew members in a close haul or an upwind sailing point. And you think that this ship has probably only made this trip once. From Ikalofia down to here. So they're probably lying.
Awesome. I'm gonna go share that information with Lishigia.
I'm acting as if I'm speaking. I'm just like fanning myself with my fan, and I cast message to both Sagafa and Craig, and to relay this information that you just told me.
Did you hear that too?
Would you like me to try and... Would you like our guests here, or would you like them out of the boat?
They have some answers to give. I'm happy to work on this ship, but if they're lying about this, they're lying about other things. And while this is a nice detour from what we were doing, I would like someone to not be lying to my face.
Message.
Oh, yeah. So.
No, I'm relaying this back and forth really
okay.
fast.
Okay, yeah.
I turn into a hub.
You're the server, yeah.
You're the Wi-Fi router.
Yeah. We could intimidate him into giving us answers. I know I don't seem like it, but I can be pretty intimidating sometimes.
I mean, if this ship isn't what they said it was used for, and they have no skill with it, we might as well take it. And he just shrugs mentally.
Oh. Just because they're lying doesn't mean that that we take it. I guess I'm talking to Lishigia, because where's everybody at? I'm on the boat. I'm on the top, next to Lishigia.
Lishigia is in the middle.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
Relaying this back and forth.
Yeah, I'm way at the prow of the ship, basically. But I'm fine to take a break and walk over so we can, I can confer. Craig will walk over so we can stop the mental madness a bit, and
If Mark comes near, Shaija's gonna go, we're just doing a group huddle to talk about our strategy when we go north.
Oh, I understand. Yes. Enjoy.
We're swapping fishing stories. You don't want to hear any of this.
Considering how little you like fish, I'm sure none of these will be very interesting to you.
Captain always said, "Blue sky above my head, calm sea beneath my boat. Wind blows upon me, saying your name."
Wow.
That movie.
I thought it was gonna rhyme.
I thought it was too. Reddit sucks.
We were all surprised.
That's almost the best part.
Remy looks over at Craig and says, your captain doesn't know how to rhyme."
Nope, couldn't carry
Like-
a tune with a bucket.
Like as if it was a jab, like
Burn.
sick burn, bro.
Is there a way I can get a read on these folks? On Mark and Chloe? Sorry for interrupting.
Perception against their will DC, yes.
Okay. 15.
Let's see. I think that probably just does it. Maybe a little bit more, at least for one of them. They are nervous. Seeing all of you huddle over together, they have formed their own small huddle, and they're whispering back and forth between each other and kind of glancing at you. And at one point, as you... Hi, Steve. At one point, as you... as you look over them, you catch Chloe looking at you, and then you catch her as she, like, kind of gets a little bit aggressive in her conversation with Mark, and then she sees you, and then she pulls back her composure and looks back at Mark and just puts her hands up to her, like, the bridge of her nose.
I approach her from across the bridge and take my fan. I fold it up. We're so sorry. We're a bit tired, and we're doing our best to take into account all of the repairs needed for the ship and all of the time needed to look through everything. Would you happen to have any supplies on hand or any records of past travels, or perhaps your inventory, so we can get assess a better view of the situation that's happening here?
Chloe looks at Mark. Yes, Mark, where did your grandfather keep the records of the ship? And Mark just kind of scratches his head and walks down. Oh, right. I'm gonna head back to our place for a few minutes, and then I'll be back with those records. I'm sure I have them somewhere. They're probably in the nightstand or something. I don't know. I'll go get them.
That'll be very helpful. Thank you so much, Mark. Miss Chloe, you wouldn't happen to know anything about this ship yourself, would you? I am understanding that you also man this ship along with your husband. You must have some knowledge of the workings of this vessel.
Oh, it's, yes. Well, to be honest, Mark just tells me what to do and where to go and what lines to pull, and I just do what I can. It's a pretty easy journey down from Akalofia, but of course he still needs some help, so I do what I can. I'm not the most knowledgeable on this boat, though, I must say.
But you must be. Your husband told us himself he doesn't like fish. He doesn't like ships, I suppose. Knowledge must come somewhere. You seem to have traveled from quite a distance.
Oh, what made you say that? Why would you say that I've traveled quite some distance? I just to Akalofia.
Akalofia is quite far, isn't it?
Oh, you're right. I'm so sorry.
Were you traveling from other places? I'm not very
Oh,
familiar
no,
with this area.
just to Akalofia. Give me a society check.
Crick's gonna look at Sogatha and say, "This whole thing is really furling my sails."
Please come to Upper Deck so everyone can witness this. Please, I beg of you.
Yeah. I think Craig is getting fed up. Yeah, he'll stomp up and
I have to agree with you. On the one hand, there's certainly more of us than there are of them, so
yeah.
I'm not entirely against just doing these repairs and kicking them off, but this lady is clearly a woman of the goddess, and I don't know how I feel about just, throwing her to the wind, so to speak.
I don't even know what the goddess that means, but sure, yeah, let's.
What?
I was
she
just.
had Drostia's sigil.
Oh, I don't really dabble with other religions, unless it's a brine dragon. I don't really know about it. Sorry.
That's all right.
You think she's like I don't know anything about this goddess. Is she not good? Should we get the jump on them before she betrays us?
No. Drostia is a lovely goddess. She just encourages us all to keep trying and do the best we can with what we have. But the thing is I'm not sure that this ship is actually something that they rightfully have.
Well, I'm sure Lishija getting to the
It-
bottom of it. She's great at cutting to the quick.
Either way, I don't think we should commandeer it from them. Even if it's not theirs, it's not ours. I'm not. I was just curious because this is such a large vessel, such a strange place for.
I mean, we could always.
Well, how do they run it? With just two of them. I mean, Craig, how many people do you need to run a boat like this? I feel like if it was just you and me, we'd be running around constantly. We could
Exactly.
never. I mean, we got short legs, I know, but like not that short.
Yeah, minimum 6, 8.
Yeah,
Maybe.
Craig, I think you would know, like, hard minimum for this.
Mhm.
You need someone on the helm, and that could be a flexible position where one person is, okay, I go to the helm, I loop the rope around the helm to hold it in place, and then I run over and do this one thing quickly, and then I go back. So 1, maybe 2. Hard minimum, 1 so far. You need at least 2 people per sail. Preferably 4 if you're trying to raise and lower the sails. So that's like 3 people minimum, then 6 people minimum, and then I would say, yeah, hard minimum is 8.
So
Yep. And unless they're cool with child labor, there's no way in however
a lot
many
of people
hells
are
there
cool with
are.
child labor.
Not a fan either, but different strokes.
Yeah, it just doesn't add up.
My Roger is not jolly right now.
Oh my god.
Who's Roger?
He's a legendary pirate lord from my part of the world. Not important, just not very pleased.
Lishicha, how do you respond to Chloe when she says, or I guess how is this conversation proceeding? What are you doing as you kind of catch her, I guess?
I look at her and I say, well, I'm not a particularly skilled navigator, survivalist of any sort, and clearly you and your husband have enough merit, skills amongst you and yourselves to be able to sail this ship. Would you mind showing me how you do it? I'm sure a person such as yourself, who's been able to handle yourself with such a small crew, would be more than capable of teaching a person such as myself.
Oh, that's a fair request. Yeah, and she starts walking around. Well, you see, when we need to pull the sails up, we just pull them out of and she grabs the same sail bag that Krieg was working with, and she starts pulling the sail, and it tears more, and oh, that hasn't happened before. I'm so sorry. And then she puts the sail back. And then you see we also have the oars down below deck, and she walks you down below deck, and she says, I sit there. I realize that there are 3 other spots for oars and people to sit. But
Do you have your
Um,
daughter row them? She's so small.
oh goodness, no, I would never. I mean, just when we need to row, and Mark and I will come down below and we'll row the boat. And oh, and did I ever give a name for the daughter?
No, you did not.
Okay. And Claire is the one who's steering.
Claire can. Wow, she's very skilled
just for a short time. May I tell you something in confidence?
With my trade, I cannot say that I can keep it, but I will do my best.
We're not from here. I don't know anything about this ship. It's ours because of a fluke, an accident. That's
Go
all.
on.
Can we speak about this back at our hut, please?
Is there any particular reason you can't speak of it with me here?
Well, I suppose that if it stays within your group, and if you are trustworthy, then I'd rather speak with a group about it. And I'd prefer to do that in our hut.
All right. As is of my practice, I must tell you, out of fairness and out of my faith, that should I find that this vessel was taken under less than fair circumstances, it is my responsibility to take fate and bring justice to you. Do I make myself clear?
Oh, my. Yes, I do believe you do. We should talk.
Of course. I'll find the others and we shall meet in your home. Is that all right?
Yes, thank you. And she
Thank you so much, Claire.
awkwardly, without looking you in the eyes, like one of those looks down, walks out of the room. Yeah.
I go and find the others. I'm sure you all have found some strange going-ons in this boat. I've spoken to Claire, and she has admitted to me that this vessel did not originally belong to them. She did not clarify with me who it did originally belong to, but she mentioned that she was willing to speak with us at her hut later today.
And we're just supposed to keep working on a ship that they don't rightfully own? Why
Well-
can't we rightfully own it then?
Also, I think the assumption was that you could go speak with her now, but
Yes.
yeah.
My bad. Okay.
No, you're good.
Good. Yeah, I'd like to get a look at their hut. Maybe their grandfather had something, material we use on ships that are really old that you need to rejuvenate them. See if they have a couple jugs of boat tops.
Is that a material that you're familiar with using, Craig?
It would really help. It really helps like lift the warped due to age wood of the structure. But yeah, I mean, Mark probably doesn't even know that if he has it, but you'll know it when you see boat tops.
I see.
It's very
Considering...
easily.
Right.
noticed.
I see. I doubt they have such a material. It seems quite advanced for them. I feel as if a ship left in this state of disrepair, they wouldn't have such a material on hand.
Definitely.
Hero point.
Just helps to fill in the cracks, you know?
Yep. Just
Certainly.
bit of a lift.
Oh my god.
Did you
Great.
all find anything while you were here of note before we head towards the hut?
Yeah, there's definitely a cannonball hole over there.
A cannonball hole, like...
Yeah. I think maybe we should just double check your cool floating disc thing if it's still around here somewhere. Maybe we should check under the patches and see just how many of those holes we have before we go to their hut where I don't know what's gonna happen.
Certainly. Fair assessment. I will note, in my observation, a boat of this size and of this design appears to be better suited to be a part of a fleet than a standalone, which may explain your battle scar a bit.
That
Just
makes
a note.
sense, but also to note, it's not the size of the boat; it's the motion of the ocean.
Interesting.
That
But we're
that
at
would
a
explain.
lake, aren't we?
Shaija?
I was gonna say that would explain how it got here.
Boom, 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 boom.
I'm on fire today.
I'm cherry picking the very least offensive.
Offensive.
Um,
I cast my spell to do whatever the fuck we need to do.
so I'm
Do we find any more holes in the ship before? Because we're gonna do. I take it that we're in agreement that we're gonna do a quick pass through the ship, go below deck, see if there's any holes, and then go out to the hut.
Yeah, I think as you look around, not only do you find like actual holes that have been patched by like a straight up plank of wood over the top, you also find, excuse me, you also find spots where you have wood that's like older, and then like it seems to be fragmented, and then or not fragmented, it seems to be like cut, and then a new piece of wood has been inserted for a small area, and then the same old wood has continued. So you think like not only are there active holes in the ship, but like there are well done patch jobs from a long time ago. Somebody actually knew what they were doing when they patched it. Yeah. Are you heading to the village after you do this?
I vote yes.
I vote yes.
Real quick, can I look the boat up and down for like symbols, for like things that have been painted over that could have had a symbol underneath?
Sure.
Yeah, how fresh is the name on there?
I'm gonna need a pretty decent perception check from anybody who's trying to look for that.
Who's got a good perception?
I have a solid perception.
Multiple people can attempt as well if you all say like, oh, let's look for a symbol or something. If not, I
No.
think probably just Lishija. Well, that's a 1.
I'm
7.
Nudge
using
fate
that hero
towards
point.
Sagafa, nudge fate +1.
Ooh.
23.
Oh,
Oh, nice.
So that's going to be a 27 total.
Amazing. So the DC in my mind was a 22. You notice that on the mast, where some of the wood has rotted away, there is a symbol. I actually have to pull up some of the lore of our world here. Well, I can get you those details later, but there is a symbol of... It appears to be a lizard folk tribe. And looking closely at the symbol, I think... Well, actually, I think you'd need to communicate a little bit more to see, like, what type or who it might belong to, but there is the style of the symbol you would recognize as lizard folk. The name is a plank of wood that has been etched the name into it, Akachalathia, or whatever. This is the session of puns. And this plank of wood has been nailed down over another name, and you can see just little bits of paint that stick out above where that wood was nailed on top of.
I'm not too familiar with the specifics, but I'm seeing here what looks like a lizard folk, perhaps, symbol. If any of you know anything deeper about that, I don't know much.
20 to heraldry, which is the study of symbols and the families and organizations they belong to.
Amazing.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool. How clutch.
Amazing. And it like totally makes sense with your character too. This is super cool. Okay. I do actually need to start pulling up that document.
I can vamp for you if you need a second.
Yeah, do it.
Do you know what a sailor's least favorite vegetable is? Leeks.
Imagine meats.
Oh.
Leeks.
Are their favorites water chestnuts?
What's the difference between a drunk sailor and a hungry sailor and a drunk sailor?
One of them spends their money, the other one loses it.
One has a rummy tummy, the other has a tummy rumbly.
Oh my god.
Rum.
What?
Rum
All
is
right.
the root of
Why
the
is the
joke.
rum gone?
Don't worry, listeners. I will save you from these puns. I'm just kidding.
Unstoppable.com/sailor-puns.
Oh, that is a
That's fun, huh?
that is a good name for a website. Okay. So Lishijia, you look at the symbol and you see a fist with like long claws. It looks as if the fist is holding a hammer, and attached to the top of the it's a circle. Attached to the top of the circle and the bottom of the circle are what look like teeth. And you know this to be the symbol of the great barbarian king Throshk. Throshk. And thinking back to recently, about 5 years ago, when the war was very active, the great blanking on the name, the Great War that has ravaged the continent of Flaybrush. The barbarian king Throshk led the lizard folk domain and the lizard folk tribes, unifying them into one domain under his name. And all of the ships that flew within his fleet, or that sailed within his fleet, bore this symbol. It's actually very intimidating and scary to see that on a ship. That symbol invokes a lot of fear for a lot of people. Thank you, Lustral War, Mike. Yeah, that symbol invokes a great deal of fear for a great many people.
Is there any more information we know about, like, the king? Were they overthrown?
The king was, the humans led an attack, the humans of Yotris, the human kingdoms that you are well aware of, led an attack into the continent of Flaybrush. And a team of the Swiftlight Guardians, which is a group of heroes on the continent of Yotris, a small team was able to approach the Great Barbarian King, subdue him in battle, take his hammer, and begin the peaceful transfer of power by bringing in a lizard folk who they felt could unify the tribes, but also under a positive light. And so what has been recently happening is, after this barbarian king has lost his power, is locked up within the human kingdoms, a new transfer of power has been occurring, and while there's still a lot of work to be done, the lizard folk are in a far better place than they were and are causing far less harm than they used to under the Great Barbarian King.
Lishijia is very personally acquainted with this symbol, in part because her parents, half human, half elves, during the war were trading weapons with the lizard folk.
Hmm.
Ooh, juicy.
She considers this and she says, this is the symbol of the great barbarian king of Thrask. He was the leader of the lizard folk. Replaced by a different head as appointed by the humans of Yoltris. They were quite a powerful people, and I find it very unusual that their vessel is all the way over here.
So this vessel would be like a war veteran?
This would be a warship if I had to hazard a guess. It seems that the signs are here, the name, the injury, the relatively large crew needed to man it, in its best condition, it'd be a frightening thing.
You're well learned, Lishuja.
Yeah, you're real smart.
The best education.
I'm impressed.
Which brings into question, how did these two folks come across this boat?
Let's go ask them.
Are we concerned that they will ambush us?
I think
Yes.
sooner or later they're going to betray us.
Fair weather assessment. Let's go. Let's prepare.
Lishija, are there any particularly important boats in that war? That what was it? The Lustral War?
The Lustral War, yes. Do I know of... I'm relatively familiar, but I may not know necessarily all of the names. Do I know the names? Emma, you are out.
I'm sorry. I realized I was talking at the camera and y'all weren't hearing me a while ago. It's okay. So, I think you would be able to pick that out. Pick out a few names if you were to give me another society check.
Okay.
Also, I think that Krieg, hearing this, you could give me a lore sailing check as well, and that would be something that could help.
While they think about it, I wanna go attempt to rip the board with the clearly fake name off. I don't think I want to take it all the way off because maybe it's good for the name of this boat to be hidden. But I would kind of like to see, maybe it's important. I don't know.
Sagafa, as you do this, you... The name on the vessel is the Bonito. Lishigia, I don't think you recognize this. Or, I'm sorry. Lishigia, you don't recognize this.
That's fair.
Krieg, you don't recognize this either. But the name of the ship, as you kind of lift up the nails, maybe use one of the tools that they gave you and start lifting up the nails and pull the board out just a little bit, you can see Bonito written across the side of the hull.
Bonito. Well, that's fun to say. Bonito. Bonito. I don't know.
Lishija, as you step off of the gangplank, down onto the dock, which is, it's generous to call this a dock. But as you step onto the dock, you catch that symbol one more time, and our viewer's camera, if you will, zooms into your mind's eye, and we begin to see an image that you're very familiar with, something that you remember from during the war. And I think that's where we're going to call session right now.
What if we get ambushed?
Thank you, everybody.
Everyone.
Also, thank you for my, like, somewhat ad-libbing certain things here and there. I don't always have names ready and on me, so I appreciate that.
I never have names ready, so no, you did fine.
Okay, thank you.
Jenna is notorious for calling you to give names, so really.
My
She does it
character
on
only
purpose.
wants
You can
names, and I'm
see
so
it.
sorry
No,
about
you
it.
good. No, it was great. No, it's fine.
Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you, listeners, for tuning
Have
in.
a good night, everyone. Thank you.
Have a good night.